So, whether you are a volunteer with us or facilitator who works with English language learners, or whether you're an English language learner yourself, thank you for sticking with us as we've been working our way through the keys to teaching grammar to English language learners. I hope that this review of basic parts of speech will be helpful to you on some level. So as someone who speaks one or maybe more languages, you are probably very familiar with nouns and what a noun is. And as you are probably aware, different people make different mistakes when learning English based on whether or not they are native speakers or what not only if they're an English language learner, but what language they come from, essentially. So here are just some non-examples of common ESL errors that we hear in our classrooms. And I'll just read through them, be thinking like whether or not that sounds wrong to you and why it may sound wrong. And then hopefully in the following slides, we will get some answers to these non-examples. So there are two dog. I want dog. I must go to my work. Thank you for the advices. I need to study the Constitution for my citizenship test. She sometimes needs more of the patience. So, why do I have that note there? So just so you know, we're going to be going over grammatical pronouns later, so that will not be covered in this video specifically. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Good. So anyways, nouns are typically described in English as people, places, things, and then ideas. So what that gets at is the distinction between concrete and abstract nouns. So something you can like hold and touch. So like this is a marker. It's concrete. It is solid. I can sense it with, I have like more than one of my five senses. Not actually going to smell it because that's bad, but you can see it, feel it, hear the sound it makes when the cap comes off, etc. Versus courage. Courage is a abstract noun. It's more of a concept. I like the idea of courage. I, want more of it maybe, or maybe I have too much and I get into trouble sometimes. So just different ways we can be thinking about nouns. So more grammatically and or syntactically, how nouns can fit into and be used in our sentences correctly. Nouns can be subjects or objects, whether that be a direct or indirect object. So our example, the girl reads the book to her sister. So the subject is the girl. Girl is a noun. She reads, that's our verb, it's transitive. We will talk about that a bit later. She reads what? She reads the book. That is our direct object. Book is another concrete noun. To her sister. So this is her sister. Look at that smile. They're so cute. Let's see. So yeah, sorry. Sister is another concrete noun. She is being read to. She is receiving the action as the indirect object. So moving on, the next category of nouns we'll talk about, the first category, I suppose, is common versus proper nouns. These are pretty easy to distinguish because of that nice big capital letter you see at the beginning of proper nouns. The only place this becomes ambiguous is at the beginning of sentences, typically. Excuse me. So, John. John is a person. John is your brother. John is a waiter. John can even be your friend. Like there's no limit for all the things John can be, but all these things, all these more general categories are common nouns. They're examples, or they are categories of what John, who is a specific person, could be. Same with Marco or Eliza. More common or general nouns, there are places, cities, and countries, but those places, cities, and countries, when they have a name and you refer to them by that name, that's when that gets capitalized. So like, I'm going to a place, Paris. If you want to write that sentence out, like, my favorite place is Paris, that might be helpful with your students to see place with capital P, or with a lowercase p, Paris with the capital P. And then same with days and holidays and months, the specific instances of the names of days, the names of holidays, the names of months are capitalized, and then seasons are actually not capitalized. So that's kind of a non-example in there for you. And then our visual aid is a common dog versus a proper dog. So moving on, count and non-count nouns. This is, as you can see, the slide on count nouns. I couldn't fit all of it onto one slide. So usually count nouns can be counted. They can be perceived or separated into discrete units. So, one dog, many dogs, one shirt, two shirt, red shirt, blue shirt. There's one sunset per day, but you could see many sunsets over your lifetime. Some nouns are only really plural. They have so like you don't have one jean, you have a pair of jeans, or jeans, my pair of jeans. So they have a collective quantifier in front of them. That's what the word pair is. So one pair, many pairs. You can also have one bunch of grapes, or a bunch of red grapes, a bunch of green grapes, two bunches of grapes. You can also have pride of lions, smack of jellyfish, I believe, is one. So there's some fun collective nouns out there. Not necessarily the most practical thing if you want to get into like a flamboyance of flamingos or a murder of crows. So, but those are just some language peculiarities if you are a curious student or someone looking to spice up your lesson on plurals. So, anyways, otherwise plural, wise. Otherwise, pluralize. Nope. When we're talking about plurals, though, the normal ones can just be made by adding either s, es, or ies, and the rules are specified over here in the examples. If your base form of the noun ends in a ch, s, sh, ss, x, z, or o, then you add an es. So like churches, kisses, boxes, tomatoes, and it would be helpful to make a list with your students of these, writing them out, not just speaking them aloud, because a lot of them sound very similar. Then we have some substitution rules. So if you have a word that ends in the F sound, which could either look like F like leaf, or FE like wife or knife, you change that voiceless F to a voiced V sound, and also to the V letter, and then you add ES, so leaf to leaves, knife to knives. And then you have the one that has a cool little rhyme that goes with it. You change the I to a Y and you add ES. So that's with like baby to babies, puppy to puppies, berry to berries, the thing you eat, not the verb, which we will talk about later, but they do follow that same pattern. So, and lastly, count nouns usually have to take a determiner, so whether that is a, an, or the, so some kind of article. So whether that be a determiner or a pronoun, so like this, those, that, like these things, those ideas, or a possessive pronoun. So like in our example sentence, her sister, his stuff, my marker. So count nouns versus non-count nouns generally do not take determiners or articles of any kind, although sometimes we do see this for emphasis, like, oh, I got the COVID, like, oh gosh, that was bad, bad thing to do. Emphasize with use of determiner / definite article. So you can read through the categories on your own. These are not meant to be an exhaustive list. This is not an exhaustive list, but it's meant to give you ideas of the types of categories that are counted as non-count nouns. So like Chinese is a noun, it is a language, it is a culture, but it's really hard to quantify that or count that. And these can also actually be adjectives, like I am, like she's a Chinese woman, that's me. Anyways. So yeah, what I also wanted to point out is gerund forms. Sometimes grammatically you will see something that looks like a verb in the place of a noun. Like studying is my least favorite thing to do. So that is in the place of a noun in the sentence. So that might be confusing for some of your students, but if you want to give them more of an explanation, then gerund is a term that you can research more into. So, oh, I had my non-examples here earlier. So, any light shed on these. There are two dog. So a common ESL error is to omit the S, which we need in English. And then also sometimes they can leave out the determiner. I want a dog, I want the dog, I want that dog specifically. Same with, so I must go to my work. That is actually more common, and becoming more accepted, but the technical error there would be since work is a non-count noun, it does not need that determiner, that possessive pronoun, like, oh, I go to work. It is assumed that you go to your work. And then thank you for the advices. Again, count nouns are not, or non-count nouns are typically not pluralized. So, and then I need to study the Constitution. This is a simple capitalization error. It's pronounced exactly the same, but because Constitution is a proper noun, the Constitution, it's very special. It needs the capital C. And then lastly, she sometimes needs more of the patience. Again, since patience is a non-count noun, it's an abstract concept. We do not quantify it or specify the patience. So, yeah, thank you.